It is on 28.
It's a 35 to 135.
Ah.
It's not a long one, but it was good depth of field.
Ah, okay.
Ah, salut François. Oui, ça va.
So FX9.
9, FX9. This one for frame length, yes?
Yes.
Yes. Its format, 40K?
No, HD.
HD.
Because we file in HD,
Oh,
so I don't need to use that much memory space. So
Non, oui. Oui. Bien joué. Tu prenais les photos. Tu prenais les photos. Ouais, tu as raison. Tu as revendu? Merci. Oui. C'est vrai, à ce moment-là. Qu'est-ce qui coule? C'est quoi qui n'allait pas? Ah, c'est quoi qui te... Ah, tu n'avais pas le sabot? Oui. Ouais, de toute façon, c'est... Ouais. Non, mais je comprends. Oui. Oui, moi j'ai aussi quelques soucis, dans le sens où les restaurants, on change dans tous les sens. Et je suis certain qu'ils vont bloquer ça. Et je ne sais pas encore comment. Oui. Je me suis retrouvé plusieurs fois, notamment au Parlement de Marche, je me suis retrouvé en position, tu vois, seconde. Et j'ai déclenché ça 10 secondes. Et c'est en plein milieu. Je dirais, Michel parlait, je sais pas. Oui, il se met sur le côté. Et tu as raison.
Sorry. Hey.
Oui, c'est ça. Il y a un temps de tard.
Hello, how are you? Salut. Ça va et toi? Ça va mieux?
Oui, ça va mieux.
Tu te fatigues?
Mais ce qui m'inquiétait, c'est d'avoir la fête. Pas pouvoir rentrer ici. Mais bon, ça
Ils
va.
ont même pas fait.
T'as pas fait chez toi? Ah, moi, il m'a fait.
Il y a trop de monde.
Moi, je dis à moi, je suis arrivé juste avant là-bas. Ah oui, le film? Ah oui, moi, j'étais avec personne. Ah oui, ça c'est...
J'ai envoyé un mail aussi. Le dossier de banque.
Oui, évidemment, on peut faire un message. Les Américains, ils viennent ici, ils parlent ici, puis après ça, ils parlent avec
Je suis même pas sûre. Je suis même pas sûre. Mais aujourd'hui, de toute façon, il rentre par ici. Là, peut-être qu'il va donner.
Here comes Stoltenberg. Here's Stoltenberg, if you're ready.
The statement.
Here's Stoltenberg.
Stoltenberg is there?
He's right there.
Where?
Right there.
He's there? Where?
Well, it's either the Supreme Allied Commander or Stoltenberg. Hey.
Anything that we can do to help? Probably not, no, me, but thank you, Charlotte. I know it's been very stressful.
There he goes on foot.
Here we go.
Yes, you can open the grey box for the microphone.
Good morning, Mr. Secretary General.
Mr. Stoltenberg, good morning.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, hi, we're still setting up on trade, so we'll call you back in 2 seconds. Hang on a second. What are we using for IT?
We're using your phone or
Yeah.
iPhone Live.
IFB?
We're going to start the live you up now, so don't worry about that. We'll call you back in a minute. Cheers. Thanks a lot. Okay. Right, just... What do we use for IFB? The flat
For speed?
Yeah.
Is it better if we use Steve's phone just for speed? But we do
I
AirPods?
haven't got the... Oh, I can put it in there. Okay, yeah, don't worry about the IP. Concentrate the live view on the rest. And the microphone. I've got an idea.
You use your phone on
I'll use it for the IP for the moment. If you can concentrate the live view on the microphone.
Yes, you will see it and then Steve's about to, we're going to do Steve's IP for his phone, so we're just about to connect. Okay. Do you mind just keeping it? Yeah, thank you. Perfect, thank you. Thank you.
So for the microphone. Oh, you got it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Can we get for the starting shot? Can we get the flags in So how are we looking on live here? Oh, have you got the microphone?
If you don't mind moving this way a little bit, then we can film arrival still. So, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's a good point. Can we come? One. Good.
Start debriefing and swap.
Okay, is the mic working? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get live you up. And I'll do the IFT. Live is on.
I'll phone MCR and I'll coordinate. So I'll
Hang on, I'm phoning MC. I don't because I need to get for these.
Can you talk a little bit in month, please?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Oh,
Macht u 15 in de nee? Macht u 15 door Finland? Dat is
Can you see me as well? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Do you want to transfer me through? Thanks. Yeah, I got you loud and clear. Okay, they're coming to me. Okay. Have you got any of this in there? Show? You have any of that in there? No. Just spin it just for this hit. Just spin it for that. Yeah, happy? Yeah. And I'm not in your way, am I?
A little bit, but you do your live hit, then you can readjust.
Thank
so
you
I
very much.
understand, yeah.
question. Il faut parler avec le
Thanks.
collègue.
George,
Vorige keer
you know anyone? Have you got
onder de zitten.
Just in case. What do I do with that? George, can you see the mask in the pocket? On the outside? Okay.
Non, je ne veux pas se faire. Oui. Peut-être qu'ils vont pouvoir. C'est vrai que c'est toute une organisation, hein. Ça a mis quand même 1 an avant qu'ils mettent en place. Maintenant, on a un vrai. Je t'ai les visiter, pas tout au début, c'était déjà bien en place. Et je travaillais pendant un temps les autres. Je me rends compte un peu. Et là, c'est un peu bizarre. Et ça a été une différence avant. Pas pour eux, c'est de la végétation. Oui, il a préparé le template. Oui, j'ai des filles, écrire, c'est la partie Ah, les autres, on va dire que c'est la oui.
Yeah, I mean, look, absolutely, Karen. Look, the fact is, we're here, obviously, at the North Atlantic Council, which is, of course, the political decision-making body of NATO as well, in part because 8 of the members, nearly a third of NATO members, have enacted Article 4, where they have concerns for their territorial integrity, for the independence of their sovereignty, or indeed their security. Now, those countries include all 3 of the Baltics, Poland, Slovakia, and Romania as well. So they have grave concerns. So that is top of the agenda here today, to alleviate some of those concerns. We are getting, of course, all 30 members of NATO will be here today. Anthony Blinken is beginning a 6-country tour of this region, starting Brussels and up to the Baltics as well. Also looking at other Eastern European countries during his tour here. Just looking at my shoulder, of course, getting around, see if we can get a little step for you. But so Article 4 has been enacted by 8 of the members of NATO as well, and that will be top of the agenda today to address those security concerns. Then, of course, to come up with a plan of action. But there are 2 parts to this story as well. And as Jens Stoltenberg has said on both sides of the story, there is no room for miscalculation. There is no room for misunderstanding, especially given the actions we've seen from Russia in the last 24 hours as well. So what is it doing primarily? Well, of course, NATO is a defensive organisation. And the aim here, and I'll just stop a second. Secretary of State. Secretary of State, any word on what NATO can do next?
Hello.
UK Secretary, Foreign Secretary, as indeed she went through there. Of course, the UK, amongst all the other nations in NATO, most of the other nations, have been carrying independent action to support the Ukrainians, of course, and that is one part of the action that NATO can do, of course, is send a limited amount of firepower to defend itself and, of course, not trigger anything that could trigger direct conflict between NATO and the Russians. Reinforcements into the region. Fighters and we see Germany, of course, with its extraordinary change in policy, billions of euro defence plan as well, which requires drones and all planes to carry US as well. From the United States, all those criticisms from the Trump administration as well. So Germany now looking to spend up to 2% of its GDP on defence, and that has been one of the direct ramifications of this crisis. The UK, for its part, we saw the Foreign Secretary walking through, is looking at doubling its personnel in Estonia, sending fighters to the region and having an enhanced naval presence in the eastern Mediterranean. And a lot of other nations, of course, as we've reported, have been doing that's what it can do for a defensive basis. What can it do to help Ukraine as well, given the fact that, as I've said before, at the moment, NATO membership for Ukraine and enacting a no-fly zone does not look like it is on the cards. Well, a lot of countries have been sending a lot of orders to that part of the world. I mean, the list is absolutely enormous. Germany supplying defensive weapons. Poland has been sending ammunition, including Javelin anti-tank missiles and Stinger anti-aircraft defensive systems. The EU, of course, and again, extraordinary, first time ever the EU has provided weapons to a war zone. Is spending 450 million euros to to the Ukraine as well. And we've seen it across the board as well, from the Belgians as well. A lot of ammunition and defensive equipment being sent to the Ukrainians as well. Interesting that not only do we have the 30 NATO members here, but of course we have the EU represented, and we also have Finland and Sweden here as well. Now, Finland and Sweden have been working in association and partnership with NATO for decades. But the fact of the matter is that public opinion has been against joining NATO for many, many years. But the most recent poll for the Finns and indeed for Sweden have now put the majority of the population in favour of joining NATO. And that is despite the fact that, of course, Russia has threatened to have ramifications for those countries who are NATO. But let me hand it back to you for a second. Yes, we do, and that is absolutely important, and I think all our viewers will be very aware of that. So communication channels between the Russians and between NATO are absolutely paramount, and that is something that NATO is definitely working on as well, to make sure that there are no accidents. And of course, without giving tactical details to the Russians giving tactical details to NATO as well, the avoidance of accidents because of poor communication, because of poor interpretation of actions as well. That is absolutely one of the key parts of the NATO strategy as well. So having those communication lines important, but again, not easy in this current environment when there is such rampant going on between the parties.
Chaque photo est
Yeah, look, I mean, a lot of nations like the Poles have been at 2%, the Brits have been at 2%, the Americans, of course, provide the bulk of the military capability of NATO, let's make no bones about it, have been spending at about 3.5%, and spend, again, I think it's around about 3/4 of the budget of NATO as well. It's more than the other 29 countries put together, and they don't even get near to what the US spending is. So, absolutely. A lot of people would have looked at that, I think it's 11th of July 2018, that incredible meeting, and I think we ran it live actually in Scorpus, with Jens Stoltenberg having a breakfast meeting here in Brussels with President Trump. Now, President Trump not only took to task with the spending of members, but also took to task the fact that Russia was supplying Germany, and of course Europe as well, with a vast amount of energy. So the criticisms were absolutely enormous from the Trump administration, but actually the criticisms have gone before Trump and after Mr. Trump as well. So a lot of people have been making that point for a very long time. I'm just looking over my shoulder. More people to say. I believe this is the first Foreign Minister.
Good morning, Minister.
Good morning, Minister. Good morning. What can NATO do next, sir?
Minister.
They control the Dardanelles, they control the Boston Straits as well. And what Turkey has been looking at is denying access of military warfare from all continents into that part of the world. And of course, Turkey is in NATO, but the problem here, of course, with Turkey is that a lot of its defensive capability comes from Russia as well. You'll recall the concern about 400 missiles being bought by Turkey at the same time when it was trying to buy F-35 military warfare. So enormous contradictions there as well. But it's a very interesting situation where we're in the NATO problem itself as Foreign Minister, who has been critic of course, some of the action in these regions from Russia, but of course trying to keep as well a very close relationship between Mr. Erdogan and Mr. Putin, despite of course the fact that in the Middle East, Turkey is very often against what the Russian foreign policy is.
Turkish foreign minister.
Can we switch the IFP now to Have you got power? Can you get power? Is that one there? Is that one?
Et on fait moins maintenant. Voilà, quitter des... C'est quand même jamais avec ça. Avec de ça se met bien avec... Moi je trouve ça génial.
I don't want to switch out until you when you get back to if you can just get it into the phone, I'll rest it. This is the phone we use.
Yeah, but
you.
Thank you so much. There's another one. Good morning. I just wanted to, yes. Alina weiß Bescheid, dass du gleich kommst. Die ist in 15 und da wurde sie das letzte Mal auch in den ersten, also quasi einmal Treppe hoch, Media Center. Okay.
Good morning, Minister.
Good morning, Minister.
Please,
Good morning, campus. Good morning.
Here or
Over here, please.
Minister, what can Finland do? Is Finland keen now to join NATO to bolster its own defences?
Well, at the moment, of course, we have to concentrate on Ukraine and giving our full solidarity to Ukraine. What we as Finland have been doing, we have been, of course, donating both lethal and non-lethal material to Ukraine, and we stand fully in line with the European Union solidarity to Ukraine at this moment. And of course, it's obvious that in this kind of situation also the public opinion in Finland is moving and turning more favorably to NATO membership, but this is not the time, of course, to handle that issue. This is the time to show the solidarity to Ukraine.
What more can Finland do to support Ukraine, and what can NATO do? Ukraine has asked for a no-fly zone. Ukraine has asked for helicopters, it's asked for planes as well. At the moment, it seems no one's willing to give them that to them to defend themselves. Should we move to the next stage, sir?
Well, at the moment, I think it's very important first that we stand politically united. What we saw in the UN General Assembly, more than 140 votes condemning the Russian attack against Ukraine. And we have to move on this diplomatic track, pressure Russia, and also have more and more influential sanctions towards Russia.
What's your reaction to the fact that the battle's been raging around a nuclear power plant?
Sorry.
Are you afraid that the
this could become a wider European conflict, especially considering the claims for a no-fly zone?
Well, of course, this is already quite wide conflict because Ukraine is a big country and it has many neighbors and it's immediately affecting to the neighbors. We have seen a major refugee crisis, around 1 million people already on the move, and of course we have to concentrate to help these people. But what is now, of course, our main concern is what is happening in the big cities in Ukraine. And if these cities will be attacked, then of course a big amount of civilians are under fire, and this is something that should be prevented.
So what do you make of the Russian threats to
NATO
Finland?
protect, support no-fly zone?
Well, this is something that I leave to the NATO countries. I don't have any comment.
So what do you make of the Russian threats?
What about the latest developments in the last few hours? The fact that there's been a battle raging around a nuclear power plant. Your reaction to that?
Well, I'm very concerned about the nuclear news. First, of course, we were concerned about the Chernobyl situation and the movement of the troops around the Chernobyl, which was raising probably the radioactive dust and increased the radiation there. And of course, the latest news of the burning building. Hopefully, the burns have now been taken down, but of course, the idea that there is active fighting in the vicinity of the working nuclear power plant is a very scary concept, and we hope, of course, that the Russian troops will immediately stop the fighting in that region.
So what do you make of Russian threats to Finland not to join NATO? What do you say to the Russians?
Well, our answer, of course, is that Finland decides its own security policy. We are responsible for our own security policy. We have a very good connections to NATO. We are in the partnership with NATO, and we have been working very closely on those issues. And according to European security rules, it's every country's right to decide their own security position. Thank you.
Just one final question. Last night, President Putin and President Macron talked to each other, and Putin said to Macron that he wants to take it all. Is that something you just accept, or?
No, of course we don't accept it. A sovereign country cannot be attacked like this. But now what is going on, in my understanding, on the talks on the border of Ukraine and Belarus between the delegations of Ukraine and Russia has been ongoing. The talks to open the humanitarian corridors, to protect the civilians in the cities, and make the immediate ceasefire. Of course, we support all these Ukrainian claims in those talks. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Push too far.
Können wir ein Stückchen stehen voll vor der Kamera? Kannst du ein Stückchen in die Richtung, weil ich stehe voll vor der Kamera.
Vielleicht bald.
Ja, der Einzige, der es ordentlich hat, war Mark hier.
Was hatten wir an?
Wo können wir hin, Mark? It's your birthday?
Almost.
Congrats.
Make arrivals look more interesting.
We're talking about the 9. Yeah. Gosh, that's a jump. That's a huge.
I still have we have Z280s to Brazilian, the medium sized one. I'm trying to experiment today. See if I can use things a little nicer.
Got a good lens on it.
It's a 35 to 135. It's okay. It doesn't go in very far, but it creates a nice lens.
And you can zoom without losing your focus.
It's got a really nice amount of sunny faces, so I don't even have to touch it. It's my first day using it.
Cool.
And why not?
Cool. Rouge à droite. Ligne.
Manchmal hat man Tage, wo es überhaupt kein Problem ist und manchmal ist es nicht so. Ich verstehe nicht, warum.
Immer die gleiche Maske?
Nee, eigentlich sogar sehr oft eine neue. Manchmal schiebe ich die in den Backofen, um sie quasi neu zu machen.
Ich habe ja einen Sohn, der eine Brille hat und der knickt jetzt hier immer so total zusammen. Und das habe ich mal nachgemacht und das klappt tatsächlich.
Ich verstehe halt nur nicht, warum nicht. Also kalt ist natürlich ein Faktor, aber manchmal ist es halt auch kein Problem.
Canada, touched.
Okay.
Am ersten Tag immer total hübsch, aus dem zweiten nicht.
Okay, so weit habe ich es noch nicht beobachtet.
Da steht ja das, oder sie macht halt kalt. Könnte man sich doch vorstellen.
Die Verteidigung waren das hier. Verteidigung vor einer Woche. Ja, Doch, aber Florian war da. Es war keiner von euch da.
Ach so, das war die Sicherheitskontrolle. Mhm. Deshalb habe ich da Lücken.
Ja, das war ich halt. Hast du bereits gesehen? Also, ja, aber man durfte quasi nicht in den Raum. Ne?
Doch, wir waren im Raum.
Ja? Ich habe seine Rede und Samstag habe ich mir irgendwie so angeguckt. Das glaube ich eigentlich für seine Rede und das war's. Und fast schon irgendwie sein, wie er dann immer sagt, I think I have to invoke some discipline hier und wie er immer alle aufgefordert hat, jetzt sich endlich hinzusetzen. Da kommt Uli.
Yes. Yeah.
One of
Steve, going into a break, then straight off the back into you to finish. Okay? Yeah.
How do you know who's coming?
The tall woman with the curly black hair, she's the communications person for the commission.
Okay. You know the people.
Yeah. You know the people who manage the people.
Okay.
No. Canadian broadcaster.
Ihr habt jetzt wirklich keine Live dabei.
Doch, wir haben eine dabei und wir machen jetzt einen neuen Schalter. Das ist mit Euro.
The Canadian broadcaster.
You can keep your place if you want. We can keep your place if you want to go. Yeah? 9:40. On pourrait prendre sa place pour
Are you with the Canadian broadcaster?
Yes.
Is she going to stop
She
with you or
is.
going to your camera down there?
She's going to talk to me.
Right here
but
or down there?
I don't want to. Yeah, she's going to find us.
So you guys can get her here?
I'm hoping to.
Yeah, please. It makes life easier for everybody.
everybody.
I was going to repost it down there.
Du bist ja aus dem neuen Netzwerk. Hättest du Kapazitäten, uns vielleicht jedoch noch mal zu überlegen?
All right, they're coming over.
Ich habe die bei mir. Und das zweite, überlegen Sie euch die Punkkarten quasi austauschen, weil dann könnte er ja die Prototype machen. Ja, soll ich mal fragen, ob er zu dir kommt? Kann er nicht, er macht jetzt eine Falte. Er macht eine neue Falte. Er steht hier bei uns bei den Vorfahrten. Schaffst du es vielleicht schnell oder? Ja. Versuch's einfach. Genau, drin. Versuch's einfach, wenn es nicht klappt, dann ist das halt nicht genau wie viel, aber machen. Ja, die ist kurz nach 9 durch. Ja, genau. Okay, danke. Ciao. Wäre es möglich, die Berge mit unserer Leiche, ihr habt es hier wohl in der Tasche. Das kommt ja um 10:15. Weil sie doch nicht kriegt. Sie sonst unsere PSM
Genau, ich bin gestern auch zu uns zurückgeschlagen. Es ist nicht lange her, dass ich sie noch dran hatte, gestern bei den Abfahrten der Innenminister.
Kannst du mir was geben?
Du müsstest nur bei euch mal nachfragen, genau mäßig, wo, warum, ich muss erstmal hochfahren. Und machen wir nur für Baerbock oder wollt ihr das die ganze Zeit?
Nur für Baerbock.
Achso.
Aber ich meine, wenn sie gleich einmal läuft, dann können wir ja auch den Rest einfach schon mal rüberspielen, oder?
Ja, aber wir machen es noch nicht jetzt dann.
Nee, unsere Technik ist auch erst eine Viertelstunde oder
Ja?
Hallo. Hallo, ich wollte nur sagen, wir spielen jetzt die Vorfahrten live.
Nicht jetzt.
Warte, stopp mal.
Ab halb 10.
Ab halb 10, also 9:30 Uhr.
Thanks, Mike.
Ah ja, ich dachte auch. Und dann mal zu uns, ne? Oder zu euch.
Zu euch?
Ja, genau. Und dann zieht ihr euch das warte, ich erkläre dir. Wir spielen nämlich mit der Leitung von der ARD zur ARD. Wir holen uns das Signal von der ARD in das VRD2 live.
Yeah. I can hear.
Nee, das kommt nicht aus
So, was wird jetzt dann?
die ARD bitte, dass ihr das durchsteckt. Dann einen Blick auf den Artikel. Und dann gibt es das VRT. Kommando-Team, das heißt VRT. Und da sprichst du die einfach an und sagst, dass die uns. Wen ruft uns unser MCR am besten an, um euren zu kriegen?
Weiter 2, aber die sind noch nicht da.
Alright, welcome back to Squawkbox. We are here.
Für mich auch nicht.
Good morning, Minister. Good morning. Good morning, sir. Good morning.
Over here?
Yeah, would you mind coming over here? We're all here.
We'll wait for the degree to make it.
Minister, good morning.
Greece, as a matter of principle, is always for international rule. And of course, the present situation in Ukraine presents the gravest challenge to the rule of international law in the 21st century. In our today's discussion in NATO, we have to address this challenge in a very appropriate way.
Good morning. How are you?
Fine, you. Hi. Yes, just a sec.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. Hi, folks. So, hi, folks. First and foremost, I'm happy to be here to represent Canada. One of the things that President Putin has been able to do throughout this outrageous war is to make sure that the West is more united than ever. In that sense, I look forward to the conversations we'll be having today. Talking about what happened yesterday in Ukraine, I was made aware, like many of you, about the attack on the nuclear plant that was made late in the night. I was in contact with many of the Ukrainian officials. Prime Minister Trudeau also spoke to President Zelensky late in the night. Obviously, we condemn such an egregious attack that puts the security and health of civilians at risk, not only in the city but also throughout the region. We condemn this attack, and I'll be having a conversation later this morning with the head of the International Atomic Energy Agency. We take this extremely seriously, and we will raise it this morning at NATO.
What can NATO do next, Minister?
But what more of a response needs to come from NATO members, given what we're seeing coming out?
Well, NATO has been really united in making sure that we are reinforcing the eastern flank. But I think many of the NATO members and partners have been supporting lethal aid to Ukraine. We need to make sure that we do more. And we need to make sure also that we put maximum pressure on President Putin. That is the only way to make sure that this madness stops.
Mr. Zelensky wants a no-fly zone. He's crying out for fighters. He wants a no-fly zone. Is there any chance that NATO will answer positively to either of those requests?
Well, we know that our red line is to make sure that there's no international conflict triggered. President Biden has mentioned that. Prime Minister Trudeau agrees. And obviously, this is something that we take into account in taking our decisions. At the same time, I would say that we want to make sure that scenarios are being discussed, and we want to make sure also that throughout the alliance and throughout all the countries that support Ukraine, that we can have discussions, because we need to stop this war.
When you say you do more, what can you as Canada do more?
We want to make sure that we isolate Russia economically, diplomatically, in every single way. This is the best way to make sure that we end this war. I had many conversations with my counterparts within the G7. I think at this point we know that there's a level of irrationality with Putin taking these decisions, and that's why we have to take that into account when dealing with this situation. Civilians are at risk right now. Canada has decided to petition the International Criminal Court because we think that Russia needs to be trialed for crime against humanity and war crime.
Are you afraid that NATO could be dragged into this conflict? Good morning, Minister. Good morning, how are you?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. It is indeed a very timely. It is indeed a very timely meeting today of the foreign ministers, including as a follow-up to the NATO summit, which took place exactly a week ago. As far as Romania is concerned, for us the most important topic on the agenda is the response that NATO should give to the Russian aggression in the terms of consistent consolidation of the deterrence and defense posture on the eastern flank. For us it is extremely important to accelerate as fast as possible the creation of the battle group in Romania, which will be under the lead of France as framework nation. And at the same time I will stress today the importance for NATO to reconsider the philosophy, the structure and the constitutive elements of the posture on the eastern flank, because the conditions are totally different from the ones when we have started to build this posture. We have to adapt the posture to the reality which shows that the Russian troops are in Ukraine and in Belarus, so we need to rethink everything. At the same time, I will inform my colleagues about the decision taken by Romania, by the Romanian President Mr. Iohannis, to increase the spending from 2% from the GDP to 2.5% starting with the next fiscal year. And I will also ask my colleagues, of course, to support more the partner countries, especially the Republic of Moldova and Georgia.
Mr. What does that mean, changing the posture because of the actions of Russia on the eastern flank? Does that mean moving NATO from a defensive posture? Just explain to us a little bit more what you mean there, sir.
We need to restructure the posture in order to adapt it to what Russia is doing in Ukraine and in Belarus, because as we speak, basically Belarus has become another military district of Russia, and at the same time we have to take into account the presence of Russia in Ukraine with military forces. And this is very much different from the moment of 2014, where when Russia occupied illegally Crimea, and then, has built up its military presence there, but it was only Crimea which was occupied at that time. So we need to take into account this new reality and to adapt accordingly. Thank you.
Are you afraid that NATO might be dragged into the conflict?
answering my question because I think it's absolutely fascinating. The action of Russia Romanian Prime Minister.
Well, first, we come together today to show strong unity. We are united in our efforts to deter and we are united in our substantial sanctions, and Russia is isolated. The recent UN vote showed that the world is united against Putin's war of choice. Second, we are united in our solidarity with Ukraine. Their courage is impressive, and their determination still to peaceful resolution is respectable. We are providing all kinds of assistance to Ukraine, and we are providing support to the refugees. Ukraine is not alone, not today, not in the future. And third, we are meeting together with our valuable partners, Sweden, Finland, and the EU, to discuss ways to step up our cooperation. This crisis has shown that EU enlargement is primarily a security policy, and therefore EU should be proactive in the Western Balkans and to speed up or expedite its EU enlargement for the sake of our joint stability and prosperity.
Good morning, how are you? Good morning.
First of all, evaluation of the situation, the latest.
The latest is very difficult and very complex situation, because what we are seeing, the shelling of the nuclear power plant in Ukraine, shows that the whole Europe is currently in a very dangerous situation, that the repetition of Chernobyl is very likely, and I think that we need to assess all options that we have, both at NATO and the EU. I personally believe that it is time to speak also about the sanctions on energy sector. I do believe that Russia still can finance its war through buying gas and oil. I understand how difficult it would be for all of us, but then let's make a choice. Do we want to have nuclear waste and then cleaning up whole world, or we are stopping Russia at all cost we can have?
Do you support no-fly zone?
Well, look, I think that many of my colleagues have said where the danger is. I think that we need to discuss all options, but I don't want to go into details right now what those options are. We all understand that apparently people in Moscow are blackmailing us. People in Moscow know that there is going to be discussion, because we are the alliance at 30 member states. So to make any kind of that decision, we need unanimous thing, and then we need also countries that can enforce that. But at the same time, we must be very careful and balanced, and we should discuss very openly what options we have. But I will not go into the discussion, do I support or I don't support any of measures that we are going to discuss.
Sir, do you fear that NATO...
Finland is also partner countries, because we are also under threat, under danger.
In what way? You mean, what about...
From Russia, you know, if Georgia's territories...
Well, you know, I've been always joking a little bit with my Finnish and Swedish colleagues. Whenever they want to become members of NATO, we would be the first ones to advocate. I even would be very happy to offer some kind of discount for defense budget for at least 2-3 years. But this is, of course, a little bit a joke. But on the other hand, we work very closely with Sweden and Finland. We work with those countries already for many years, and for the Baltic region, for my own country, cooperation with those countries is extremely important. To make a decision about joining or not joining NATO, it's their own sovereign decision, and I think that this kind of blackmail, again, what we are seeing in Russia, shows that we have a very dangerous country. I believe personally that it's time to go from deterrence mission in the eastern flank to the full-scale defense mission. We still need to discuss more assets, we still need to discuss more troops, we still need to address many issues. And this is not only here at the foreign ministers, it's also defense minister's job, this is also a job for planners, but I think that we simply have the new reality. Second time in our history the Iron Curtain has actually, or is falling as we speak, actually it has not fallen. And now it's very important that we make appropriate decisions, that we are not afraid, but we are also balanced and rational.
So are you afraid that NATO could be dragged into the conflict?
To back up a little bit.
What is behind, please? Another one.
You can't, you're in my camera. You look at that one side.
What? Une fois, ouais. T'as vu? Ça se remarque, hein? Une fois que j'ouvre les yeux. Et aussi les oreilles.
Ja. Ich will übrigens darüber überfinanziert haben. Julia Reich vom ZDF. Also, nur dann wahrscheinlich auch. Ja, eigentlich schon.
Alex, ich würde mal bei unserer Technik anrufen und Verbindung aufbauen. Hi, ich stehe hier mit dem ZDF und wir haben gerade unsere Live-View angeschlossen von den Vorfahrten und ich wollte einmal fragen, ob wir die Verbindung aufbauen können. Und dann nur schon mal, dass du es gehört hast, die Sondersendung möchte Baerbock dann quasi live einspielen. 9:45 kommt Baerbock zum Dorfchef und dann möchte die Sondersendung live einspielen. Wir haben die einfach angesteckt und angemacht.
Die ist noch am Hochfahren.
Die ist noch am Hochfahren. Okay, kannst du es gleich nochmal versuchen? Wenn sie hochgefahren ist? Wenn sie gleich...
Auf welchem Kanal?
Auf welchem Kanal soll man schalten? Nee, ich bin mit Alex ZDF da. 1. Genau. Ja, da wird sich dann auch jemand wenn er sich schon dran hat. Genau, dass wir durchgesteckt haben.
2 Sekunden.
2 Sekunden. Ja. Bleib mal einfach dran. Er sieht besser. Okay. Das heißt, du bist soweit klar? Oder brauchst du noch was von mir?
Moskau? Moskau?
Er ist gerade mit euch am Telefon.
Achso.
Alex, brauchst du mich noch? Okay, magst du weiter mit den Sternen? Brauchst du mich jetzt hier gerade noch? Okay. Das heißt, du zeichnest auf und weißt, dass du um Viertel vor quasi mit der Werbung gleich drauf bist. Plus minus, ne? Das kann man auch nicht so vorstellen. Nach Hamburg. Kannst du es nochmal sagen? Das ist okay, kann ich dich in 2 Minuten nochmal zugucken? Ich muss mal kurz gucken, ob Silke jetzt im Pool ist, ja? Dann ciao.
Aber ich habe natürlich zugegeben, dass so,
Aber das habe ich denen gestern auch schon gesagt, dass Blinken, Stoltenberg und Baerbock gibt es darauf.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Would you mind coming over here? Good morning. How are you?
Why won't NATO enforce
Are you afraid that...
Good morning.
Good morning. Are you afraid that NATO could be dragged into this conflict?
So, and first of all, Europe's security is in danger because of the Russian aggression on Ukraine, and we see the tragic situation there and the loss of lives, suffering and destruction. And we pay really an tribute and respect to the bravery and the sacrifice of the resisting Ukrainian soldiers and civilians. And when it comes to Croatia, the Croatian people and political leadership are united and in supporting Ukraine. Of course, on a NATO we are alliance, defensive alliance, and we would like to avoid any escalation. However, we are firm in our unity and in our support of the Ukrainian people, and we call on Russia to stop immediately the invasion, withdraw and return to dialogue. Thank you very much.
Events of the last 24 hours change what needs to happen. The
We will
events
see.
around the nuclear
We will see.
facility, sir.
It's on our agenda. We will discuss it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Hi. Sorry, ganz schnell. Wer kommt der nächste? Bist du jetzt dran oder nicht? Nein, also du sollst hier blinken. Und da soll Alina dich abholen. Da bist du. Okay, und sie hat dich auch dahin
Wir haben ja
gebracht.
hier keinen Schnitt, also du könntest es dann auch verspielen auf diese Karte.
Ja gut, aber das kostet ja Zeit.
Okay, das heißt, ich rufe sie an und sage, du bist vermisst.
Wo ist Silke denn?
Silke dreht jetzt Blinken.
Das ist schon jetzt Zeit.
Ja, das ist vorhin.
Okay, aber du bist verlinken und Uli macht die Kabel und alles andere. Ich sage ja Entwarnung.
Aufpassen, dass mein letztes Zeug, was ich hier stehe.
Ja? Okay, perfekt, danke. Ja, sag es dir kurz und wenn nicht, dann schreib mir. Super, danke. Bis dann. Tschüss.
Aber wenn es doch rüber ist, aber das zeigt da nichts anfangen. Ja, aber die nicht mehr räumen. Ja, gut, aber dann ist es länger als aber hier darfst du ja nicht um 12, glaube ich. Hier kannst du nicht um 12
Hier kannst du nicht um 12 schalten.
Nein, also ist alles
Ja, aber dann stell doch schon was raus, Uli, weil wir sind
Okay, er sagt alles Bescheid. Danke. Bis dann. Tschüss. Also sowohl wir als auch ihr zeichnen jetzt auch. Nee, genau, und so auch ein Bildtermin. Ja.
Der kommt jetzt gleich in unseren Studio an. Ja. Ja.
Good morning, how are you?
Hello, how are you?
Do you mind taking off your mask?
I may take off my mask, thank you.
Sir, statement or questions?
I will start with statement, and then of course I'm open to any question. So we are here to discuss the current situation, which is very serious. I'm personally shocked, and by the way Russian military conduct its operation on the territory of Ukraine and the way they attacked nuclear power plant. This is really serious situation, and we have to face it.
So what can the Czech Republic, what can NATO do in response to that event in the last 24 hours?
Why won't NATO enforce the no-fly zone?
Sorry.
What can NATO do, sir, in response to the events of the last 24 hours?
We have to strengthen the eastern flank of NATO. Speaking of NATO action, as the European Union, we will continue to discuss sanctions, and we have to make sure that all international community understand that this is a serious violation of any thinkable international law and even nuclear regulation. Okay, so
considering that incident with the nuclear plant, are you afraid that NATO might be dragged into this conflict in order to avoid a huge catastrophe?
NATO shouldn't be dragged into this conflict. NATO is a defense organization, and we have to defend our member. That's our task.
Why won't NATO enforce a no-fly zone?
No-fly zone means NATO being in a conflict, since it would be NATO's forces enforcing this no-fly zone. However, let me finish, please. However, the Czech Republic and other states are supplying weapons to Ukraine, so Ukrainians can enforce their no-fly zone. This is the proper solution.
So Mr. Zelensky wants fighters.
Sorry.
They ask for more assets like planes and things like that. Can you offer that to them?
The Czech Republic is doing a lot. I don't want to specify more on that, and I'm sure that other states are doing also quite a lot. So now it's a matter of time to sustain this barbaric attack. Okay.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Blinken's coming through. He's just going to walk by.
Okay.
So
should we try?
If you could scoot back, he's going to make comments over here in the room of Stoltenberg over there. So,
but nevertheless, we can try to catch it.
Right? Just to finish one step back a little bit. So
Yeah, it's a shift in the face of threats from Russia. And if you, that scale, you're enormous in that. You can look at in the top of the forces scale, the railway is escalating, also saying Iranians and that is explaining also NATO members. The Swedes are things that work with NATO for a very long time. The Swedes, in fact, have just hold off. Finland and Sweden have been with the NATO group for a significant amount of time. My family was reference in the 90s, so I put the Swedish airport on the unit and was working with NATO. The problem is, the links have been closed to the public opinion in Sweden as an important. So they're very much
push the CNBC guy back to the right.
Not in favour of joining.
Hi. Du läufst sowohl was die WDA abgeht, nach wie vor Da spricht gerade die kanadische Ministerin, eine blonde junge Dame. Und auf dem zweiten Kanal ist die Vorfahrtenhafen, wo jetzt gleich der Amerikaner abkommt. Okay, alles klar. Danke.
Good morning, Secretary Blinken. Just a quick statement over here, please. Please.
What's your reaction to the fact there's been a battle around a nuclear power plant?
What about the nuclear stove?
On the border with Ukraine, like exactly Romania, again, from a lot of ministers great Romanian.
Ja, en dan hier waren words en dan gaan die naar de bus. Ga je de binnen naartoe doen? Nee, het zijn niet.